Welcome to the Tank Grow Up podcast. And I'm going to try to do this bi-weekly because I do think that there are a lot of thoughts circulating my head. And I want to get them down before I, one, forget, or two, all of a sudden turn senile and I can't give advice to my kids because I've gone cuckoo. And authenticity is something that I have been thinking about lately. And trying to be authentic. I think the word of trying to be special or different is great. But where most people kind of forget, I suppose, especially as adults, is that we want to try to be in the middle. We want to try to be average because it fits into societal norms, which means we're not too weird on the left or too weird on the right. But if we actually look at children, particularly when my oldest one goes to kindergarten, every single kid acts slightly differently, yet they do not care about anything in the world. They just do their own thing. They just play and have fun, say what they want to say, do what they want to do. The idea of children is a blank slate, is a blank canvas. For most parents is very true. The problem is that most parents try to paint this canvas based on what they want to see. Now, authenticity is developed over time, and this could be something where the parents might instill certain values in their kids and they become their authentic self, or maybe their kids develop their own authenticity through experience, through learning, and just through their own decision making when they are out and about. They are not average. Everyone's quite different, but then as we become older, teenagers, adults, social pressures, all this starts to build up, and then all of a sudden we want to be normal because we want to fit into the group. I definitely have seen this a lot in my life. Back when I was really, really young, I do remember that public speaking, performing arts, dancing was something I was super into. Acting. It was a thing where I wanted to really pursue. I would even argue that I was probably one of the weird ones, because no one really else in my circle of friends, or even immediate family, cousins and stuff like that, were into that sort of thing. But as I grew older, it almost felt like I wanted to be normal because I wanted to feel like I fit in. And I think that's where I lost my authenticity. This year is a year that I'm trying to get that back personally, but it's also something that I'm quickly learning, that I really want to make sure that my kids develop their own authentic self and not something that I want to force upon them and say that, hey, like, you got to be normal because normal's good. Normal is not a bad thing. Sitting in the average just means like, hey, like, you're good. It doesn't necessarily mean, though, you need to stop developing and pursuing and continue to do authentic things that make you authentic and unique as an individual. I think the parent's role is exposure, not molding. And I think my parents did a great job. When I was really, really young, they exposed me to a lot of things. And eventually I developed some type of authentic skill set. I was really good at public speaking, I would say. I was pretty decent at singing. I actually acted in a couple of plays, and I actually remembered I starred in a TV show. But then after a while, I think I did not really understand that trying to fit into your peer group should not take away the ability for you to be authentic or to preserve your authenticity. Because I think the problem is when we grow old and as we mature into adults and stuff like that, many of my friends and peers and people that I know want to find this thing, this spark in themselves, this authenticness to make them feel like they're special so that they can tell the world that I'm really, really good at this thing or really, really good at that thing. Because social pressures just confines us to want to be average. And I really, really think that hit me quite hard with my teenage years and trying to be average. And I basically did like a 180. I think I went from this very outgoing individual, very outspoken individual to a very reserved, very closed-in individual because I want to try to fit in, but I couldn't express my authenticity. The stuff that I like to do, the stuff that makes me happy, the stuff that makes me weird, because people kind of look at me weird. This is a point where I really want to remind myself more than anyone, and of course, anyone who's listening, and most importantly, you two, don't let the judgments of other people dictate whether you should give up something that is true to yourself. Of course, social pressure is a thing, and this is why we tend to see, especially for teenagers and young adults, we tend to be peer pressured into certain things, and the idea of the 5 closest people you mix with are going to mold you into who you are. And that's very true, but I just want to remind you that if you have already developed some type of authenticity through doing repetitions, through exposure, and it's developing into this thing, don't let go. People lose their authenticity because I think it feels like a waste of time. It feels like putting in all the effort into developing something doesn't really yield any significant result. And yet, in some very, very ironic twist of events, once you start hitting your 30s and once you start becoming a parent, you start to realize that, man, I'm not really special. And you're really trying to scrap at bits and parts of your life and going, what am I authentic? What makes me special? What's my identity like? I'm not authentic anymore. I'm just average. And I can tell you this, for most parents, they don't want to be average. They want to be the cool parent, the parent that kids can tell everyone else that they're special and they do this thing and they have these special skill sets. But authenticity, again, is developed over time. If you lose your authenticity, especially when you start entering that teenage years into a young adulthood, where social pressures surmounts and forces you to be someone average, you start to think that being average means not being authentic. And that's completely false. I think the sweet spot is providing, as parents, opportunities for kids to grow and avoiding the enforcement or the forcefulness of what I want. And I see this a lot in Jiu-Jitsu, particularly as a sport, where parents will tell their kids on the sidelines to do this and do that, do this and do that, why you're not good and why you're not that. They're just living vicariously. Or they would tell their kids to go to art or do this or play this instrument and stuff like that. Because I truly think, like, because parents are so time poor, but they want to try to find something that's unique to them, authentic to their self, like a hobby or a weird, quirky hobby. They try to live vicariously through their kids. I think that's not a healthy way to do things. I think that's detrimental to their kids' development because they end up growing up having this blank canvas, not necessarily being painted by them, the kids, but by the parents. Instead, the single best thing that parents can do, and it's tricky, is to find that sweet spot for their kids, to expose them to different things so that they can start to develop their authentic self. And I think parents should do that to themselves as well. You might have lost a couple things growing up. You might have lost the skill of learning how to play guitar, like me. You might have lost the skill of public speaking, like me. Certain quirks, painting, crocheting, I don't know, whatever it might be. But it doesn't mean that you should stop now. There should still be an opportunity for you to develop some type of new self-identity, develop some new authenticness to yourself. Learn new skills, talk differently. Oh, I care. Act differently. See where it takes you. Because authenticity cannot be forced. It emerges, it develops, it matures over time through a variety of life experiences that are not being forced on, just purely through experience. Trying to force it makes it feel very fake. And I think that's where a lot of kids feel like, why am I doing this thing? This is not me. Forcing authenticity, forcing experiences makes it feel very fake. Developing an authentic personality comes from doing the reps, experiencing new things, the average things and the not average things. Only when the repetition starts to become a choice, something that I want to do, kids, parents, whatever it might be, and it's not something that is being told to do, to be authentic. It's like, you gotta be authentic. No. I just want to do the thing. Once you start making those decisions and wanting to be authentic, I think that's where the development starts. So yeah, it's a bit of a reminder. Be authentic. Don't worry about what people say. Being average is not bad. Doesn't mean that being average should pull you away from being authentic. And if it does, maybe the people who you are with probably aren't your best friends or peers. And I'll say this for you too. I can't speak for Mom. I can speak for myself. But I'm sure Mom will agree. We're not going to force anything that you don't want to do. We'll expose you to different things. And we just want to see what you pick up, what you learn along the way, what you develop. And now speaking broadly to everyone, this is an opportunity. This is an opportunity for you to go out, explore, a bit of a reminder. As always, we need more remindings. We don't need teachings. We need constant reminders to say, go out, have fun, explore with the very limited time you have. Because I think everyone is special in their own way. You just need to take some time for that special, authentic self to mature over time. See you in the next one.